Hello and welcome back to my channel. In this series of videos, we are discussing the subject of research methodology. Today, let's go further deep into a few concepts of research methodology that are extremely important to be understood right in the beginning. So, let's talk about the concepts of constructs and concepts. Now, what are constructs? Constructs are basically abstract. They are not measurable. But in research, we need everything to be measurable. And hence, we need to look at the concepts. Concepts are actually the components of constructs, and they are very concrete in nature and therefore are measurable. Let's take a few examples to understand how concepts and constructs are different. So, construct can be about job competence, but job competence per se cannot be measured. We'll have to measure it in terms of a few concepts called knowledge, skills, and attitude. All three are measurable. And when we measure all these three concepts, then we will be able to identify the construct and measure it indirectly with the help of concepts. Let's take one more example, the construct of mental ability. Now, this is something which cannot be directly measured, and therefore it is measured with the help of a few concepts like memory, analytical ability, and logical power. Having understood the basic concepts of concepts and constructs, now let's further get into the two basic approaches towards the research. One approach is called as the deductive approach, and the other approach is called as inductive approach. Now, as shown in this slide, it's very clear that let's first understand the word deduction. Deduction comes from deduce. Deduce means to conclude something. So, in deduction, there should always exist a theory. Anywhere on the earth, the theory should be existing. And on the basis of that theory, we want to find out whether that theory which is applicable somewhere else can also be applied in the specific situation that I am in. So, in order to do this, I convert the theory into a few hypotheses, and then I collect the data in the form of observations, and then with the help of hypothesis testing, I confirm whether that particular theory is applicable in my specific context or it's not applicable. So let's further understand this. Basic concept in deduction is from many to one. That means from a large population, we are trying to find out whether it is applicable to my very specific sample. So it can also be understood as general to specific and is also called as the top-down approach. Let's take a few examples on this to further understand what is the meaning of deduction. So let's see the premise. Premise is strict quality control at a car company called X gives trouble-free cars for 3 years. Now this is what their achievement has been over a period of years. So what is the given information? This company has come out with a new model or a new car and has manufactured it. So what will we deduce? The car will perform trouble-free for 3 years. Now, is it a valid deduction? Of course, it's a valid deduction because from the earlier reputation and the history of the company, we can definitely deduce that the company will indeed be able to give a car which is trouble-free for 3 years. So that's called deduction. So how did we deduce? Lot of cars in the past have been giving trouble-free performance for 3 years. So that's from many to sample. That means to this specific new car model that is manufactured by this company. So is it applicable? Yes, it is applicable. So it's a valid deduction. Let's take one more example. Consumer products, the premises consumer products have favorable impact of advertising on sales. In fact, that's the reason consumer products are always advertised. There may be some exceptions, but this is a general rule. So this is a general rule. Will it be applicable to a company which say is a Y company which is making consumer products? So what will we deduce? We will deduce that advertisements made by company Y for its consumer products will also improve its sales. Is it a valid deduction? Of course, it's a valid deduction because it has been proven in the history and for a many number of FMCG or consumer product companies. So, can this company also take advantage of it? The answer is yes. The premise has been true for consumer products companies in the past, and therefore we can deduce that it will be also possible to happen in this specific case. Now let's understand what is induction. So deduction is to deduce, induction is to induce. So basic concept in induction is from one to many. That means we prove a certain thing for a small sample and try to find out whether it will be applicable to the entire population. Will can also be looked upon as specific to general and can also be called as bottom-up approach. Let's take a few examples on this. Also, what we need to understand is that in induction, there is absolutely no existence of theory. We have to create a theory. Theory does not exist. So when you want to create a new theory, then you'll have to use the approach of induction in research. Let's take a few examples of induction. 20 samples in a batch of products produced by a company are adhering to quality norms. Now let's understand this very clearly. Never ever in any company they are going to check all 100% products being produced. They always look at a particular sample in a batch which is representative of the population or that particular batch, find out whether those samples adhere to the quality norms as prescribed in the design manual of the company, and then extrapolate it to rest of the population. So that's called induction. So what's the observation? 20 samples in a batch of products produced adhere to the quality norms. That's an observation. What do we induce from this? All products of that batch are quality products. So which means from a sample, we are extrapolating it to the population. Let's take one more example. In GMAT 2021, the average score of Indian students was 562 compared to 539 of the world or for the world. This is an observation. So what do we induce from this? Indian students appearing for GMAT and only for GMAT. It cannot be extended to other exams. We are talking only and only about the GMAT exam. Are very competitive and hardworking. That's the induction that we can really understand or observe or induce from this observation. Now, having understood all the basic concepts of research, it's time to apply the theory to specific application-based questions. Now, why do we really consider application-based questions? And that's because research as a theory has to be applied in practice. But please understand this, that application has to be derived from the theory. And therefore, in this example, we are going to understand how the theory that we have studied till now is going to be applied in this specific situation. So what's the question? You are a manager with ABC group of hotels and you have outsourced the job of customer satisfaction or finding out customer satisfaction to a research agency for your hotels, and they have now submitted their satisfaction report to you. And what is your job? You will have to evaluate the quality of work done in the study. Now this is an application based question, but the answer to this question will always lie in the theory that we have studied till now. Let's see how. So in short, what are we asking? We are asking the quality of work done in terms of a few basic concepts that we have studied about what is good research or what is a sound research. So the quality of work done in the customer satisfaction study will need to consider whether the reports fulfill the criteria of sound research study. That is there a clearly stated research purpose and objective, which is very, very important. If the research purpose and objective is wrong, the entire further research is wrong. Next, was there a sequential plan of execution of the specific research? Is it a logically and explicitly stated justification for the selection methods? All these points actually contribute to a sound research. Now, is this research, the one which is submitted by the company, and unbiased, and it has been conducted with neutral methods of reporting? The next important criteria is there should be complete transparency and ethical conduction. What I mean by transparency is the methodology should be completely transparent, easily understood to the client, as well as there should be no brief given to the client, to the research agency, that we need specific results. That should not be the case. What is the actual scenario of customer satisfaction needs to be understood. And when there is absolutely no bias or no agenda set for the research, we will call it as an ethical research. Last but not least, and very, very essentially, the research must be reliable and replicable. Reliable means it should be basically reliable in the sense it should be true, it should be accurate, and replicable means if the same set of samples are further investigated in some different time span, but the conditions and environment remain absolutely the same, then the research should give you the same results. I think that was the basic objective of today's video. In the next video, we will dwell with the other parts of research, like how do we frame a research problem. So for now, let's call it a day. We will stop at this point and meet in the next session. Thank you very much for giving your kind attention, and please subscribe my channel, like this video, and share it in your groups. Thank you. Thank you so much.